Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sara Gonzalez. Today, Justin Trudeau in blackface. Should he have consequences to that? And also, we've got more gun confiscation from Beto. You're not going to want to miss it. Starts right now. Thanks for joining us. Today, I am joined by Jason Buttrill, Chief Researcher of the Glenn Beck radio program. We've got conservative commentator Grant Stinchfield. Thanks for joining us again. What is that? It's twice this week.
Twice this week, I know, it's great.
We're so lucky.
Oh, I'm the lucky one.
And then we've got Lathan Watts back in the house, the Director of Communications at First Liberty. Thank you once again for being here.
Glad to be back.
And I would just like to say this on air. I really love your tie.
I will. I do what I can.
I said it off air. I feel like I want to say it on air. I love it. I love it. All right, got a lot to get into, but first we want to thank our sponsor, American Financing. So maybe you need to have a refinance of your house. Maybe you just got divorced from this really terrible spouse and you really need to get their name off of your mortgage. I've got the company for you. Okay, or maybe you have a situation that's not as grim as that, but still, I've got the company for you. It's American Financing. What I love about American Financing is that they have salary-based people who are working for them. They're not commission-based. So these are people who are really in it to get you and your family in the right mortgage, in the right financial setup for you. They're not looking for any kickbacks from, the banking institutions. They truly want to help you. Stu had an experience with them that, he said they walked him through everything. They even told him, hey, this loan that you want to do, it's kind of a crazy deal, and we don't really find it to be financially responsible, and we're not actually going to do it. They are honorable. They are your go-to if you have refi, home loan, whatever the case may be. You got to go to AmericanFinancing.net, or you can call 800-906-2440. That's AmericanFinancing.net. So Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Justin Trudeau, he's been this kind of breaking news over the last day or so, right? First, there was one picture that emerged of him in brown face. He had dressed up for a production at his school of Arabian Nights. There he is. That is very dark. He dressed up for Arabian Nights. This was 2001, and he was, I believe he was a teacher at this time. He had a press conference. He said, I'm very sorry. I didn't think it was racist at the time, but now I know it was racist this whole time. I just didn't realize it before. Ugh. Someone asked him, was this the only time that you've ever dressed up in blackface? Which is what I'm sure every reasonable person wants to know. Yeah, but was this the only time? He said, no, I did it one other time. And then more pictures emerged showing him multiple times in blackface. Yeah, I don't know what that one's about. He looks like, is he on a roller coaster?
I don't know.
It looks like he's on a roller coaster. He's just going to Six Flags in blackface, just hanging
and
out.
Arms
on
too. I mean, he went full on with the.
You got to give him props for dedication, at least, right?
What I love about this is that this is the finale. This is the end point to this whole social justice, which is neither social nor any justice involved here. But it's the end point. This is what you get from this fake, I don't know, social props that you want to give yourself to brag that you're just so much more virtuous than everybody else. This is where it ends up. It comes right back around, and eventually it's going to kick you right in the butt. And now he's getting it. More people are going to, the loudest voices on this is who that's going to hit. Remember, this guy is the same guy, the prime minister, that chastised a woman at a press conference because she said mankind. Right. So
excuse me, it's humankind.
Right. So he had to show how virtuous and how great he was. And now, but let's be honest here. You just come out and say, look, this is probably context matters. And no, I didn't think it was racist at the time, probably because it had nothing to do with racism at the time. Mm-hmm. It wasn't racist when he's dressed up for an Aladdin play or whatever it was.
It's Arabian Nights.
Come on.
Party. Is what it was.
Well, right, a party. But I mean, but still, if that's the theme, and we've got multiple people that are doing that. Grant, are you offended by it?
No, I'm not offended by it. But the bottom line is, blackface is typically offensive. He should have known that back then.
Now.
But I'll say this: college kids do dumb things. So if I'm going to defend Trudeau, just like I defended Brett Kavanaugh for his drinking and all that stuff, college kids do stupid things. What Justin Trudeau has proven to me was he was a dumbass in college. He's a dumbass politician who continues to have dumbass ideas. And this is just proof that he continues to be a dumbass.
But just because it was, it has been used in racist ways back in the past, 19th century. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean just because you want to dress up like, I don't know, Aretha Franklin or something like that, and someone, puts on black makeup. That doesn't mean that they're doing it. I guess what I'm trying to say is context
I agree
matters.
with you. I do not think that Justin Trudeau is a racist. I think he's a lot of things. I think he's wildly misguided, but I do not think he's a racist.
I think the problem in this whole scenario, everybody has done stupid stuff. We all know that. Every person in Canada who either voted for him or didn't vote for him has to make a decision about elected officials with dumb stuff in their past. And is this something that you can say, look, everybody did something stupid, okay, different guy now, or does this cross the line where I can no longer vote for a person who does this? The problem is that line seems to move depending on the political ideology of the person involved.
Right.
I mean, you remember Pajama Boy? Like, if Pajama Boy grew up to be Prime Minister of Canada, he's Justin Trudeau. He's going to get a pass.
Yeah.
I mean, you know he will.
I was listening to liberal commentators today on some of the cable outlets, and they were forgiving him for all of this, which is fine. It happened years ago, whatever. But they wouldn't forgive a conservative. And here I am saying, all right, he did a stupid thing as a college kid. Whatever, move on. I did so many dumb things as a college kid that you hold every one of them against me, I'd never get a job.
Well, but I'm pretty sure on that particular one, it was a school, but he was teaching there at the time.
Still young. I mean, how many years?
I think it was 29. He was 29, okay. which is fine.
Still old enough to know better. Look,
well, hold on. I want to push back a little bit. So you're saying there was never a time where it was just no one cared whether or not you dressed the part?
Of course. I'll say this. Did I care that people dressed up as blackface? No. I'd been to fraternity parties. Friends would dress up in blackface. Were my friends racist? No. Did they have a racist bone in their body? Not that I know of. I never dressed up in blackface just because it would have made me feel uncomfortable to do it. I just didn't think it was the right thing to do, and I didn't think there was anything funny about it. Do I care if other people did it back then? No. Do I think they were being racist? No. But he's come out now, and this is the worst thing ever that he said, and he's apologized for it, and then he has the audacity, and this kills me, that he says, well, I was blinded by my privilege. I grew up in Scarsdale, New York. You don't get more privilege than Scarsdale, New York. And you know what? I was never blinded by my privilege. I was taught right from wrong. Privilege doesn't make you blinded, and it makes you a racist.
Yeah. Jason, I think maybe where you're going with this is like the Megyn Kelly type feel of this, which got her in so much trouble just for saying, well, what if I want to dress up like Diana Ross for Halloween? I'm honoring her. I'm doing it because I'm a fan of her, right, not because I'm trying to show any sort of disrespect.
Exactly.
That type of view doesn't seem to get tolerated anymore.
Right. I think just because you do something that has been done in the past for racist means, that the context should always be interjected in those cases. The context there was racist. Yeah. The context for someone like a kid that wants to dress up like Muhammad Ali, runs around saying I'm the greatest, and like, well, who are you, Rocky? Or who are you? You know what I'm saying? It's right. Like, but if he wants to paint himself in black to further join the point, the context there is not racist. But the more people like this Justin Trudeau instantly come out and don't say things like that. Like, at least, yes, acknowledge the fact that it's been used as racist in the past. But that's not the context that I used it in. The more that they continue to just, okay, yes, I apologize. The problem there, again, is that everyone probably will just accept it because he's on the left. I saw a Daily Beast article, as a tweet for the article, and it said, Justin Trudeau, got caught multiple times and once more for applying face-darkening, cosmetics to his skin. Shut up. If it was anyone on the right, it would be blackface, not face-darkening cosmetics. How ridiculous is that? So unfair.
That's funny. I mean, honestly, it just seems like a waste of makeup to me.
That's a lot.
Way too much makeup to be wasting on your face. But, Lathan, you brought up an interesting point about if you're associated with the left, you somehow get a free pass for this particular thing. But it's not just this. There was a groping accusation of his in July of 2018. He didn't seem to have any fallout from it. But if it happens to someone on the right, it's believe all women, Oh, and also this one guy who said that it happened, even though the woman didn't even say it happened, you know, believe every single accusation and let these people have consequences. And somehow he's managed to skirt on by all of these accusations.
I think he understands that victimhood is the currency of the left.
Yeah.
And he played it was my white privilege blinded me to this card. And so he's kind of even a victim himself of his own privilege somehow, because tolerance.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he understands that this is how you get away with it.
Right.
If as long as the policies that you're putting in place are the policies they want, and you're advancing the cause. If you say the right things here and there when this kind of stuff comes up, they're going to let you off.
I was very frustrated when I was reading he's got, you know, conservative opponent and also another far left opponent right now. The conservative one, I was hoping would come out and say, you know what, like you're saying, context matters, whatever. Everyone does crazy things when they're younger. Everyone does things, you know, differently when they're 20 than they do when they're 50, and culture has changed. No, he used it as an opportunity to blast him and say that it was a mockery of you know, minorities and that it was racist.
Oh, he went right along with it.
Yes,
See,
and I'm just like, we have to have a standard, and we have to preach that standard. We can't change the standard when the left does it, because that's what they do.
Right, and I'll go, yeah, this is how the Overton window rolls right along to one, you know, far to one side. That's the reason why conservatives pretty much lose every single, you know, culture argument, is because eventually we'll go, okay, yeah, I see what you're doing there, and I agree there. I'm not saying that's what we're doing, but I agree there. No, no, that's not. They're literally just doing that to gain political points. That's all they're doing. Right or wrong does not matter. And even if you want to go meta there, it's the same way that conservatives have lost to become conservative anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same way that you can have a conservative that doesn't believe in fiscal responsibility.
Yeah,
it's the same exact thing.
I do understand the frustration, though, Grant, because it's like you got this angel and devil on your shoulder, and the devil, because I feel it too. I'm like, well, he should resign. He should have his life ruined. He should have to face all of these consequences that all of these conservatives have had to face for far less.
So if I was the conservative candidate against Justin Trudeau, and thank God I'm not, because I don't live in Canada, thank God, right? I would come out and say, this is what political correctness gets you.
Yes. Yeah.
You're the left. You pushed all this nonsense. Look at what it's doing to your candidate now. I can beat him on the issues. I can beat him on messaging. I can beat him on ideas. I don't need this. You ought to move on, but this is what political correctness gets you. It's ruining Canada just like it's ruining America.
Trudeau's got legitimate problems, though, beyond this. This might just send him over the edge, but
he's a giant weenie.
And he's a giant weenie. No, but he's got a major corruption scandal that he's having to deal with, about like pressuring, I think, their version of their attorney general, maybe that's what it's actually called, into dropping a case. He's got issues. I personally don't think we're gonna have to put up with seeing his face too much.
Do you remember when he first got elected and everyone was like, oh, he's so great, he's so handsome, he's so charming? That didn't last long.
Didn't last long. And then he was in India and like with his whole family dressed up. Like, was that not the biggest pandering thing I've ever seen in my life? Like, this is who this guy is.
Yeah.
Like he dresses his entire family up in Indian clothing to go to India. Yeah. Like, and you're surprised that this stuff is coming out now.
Will the left ever learn their lesson? Probably not. Back in a minute.
I'm bad this year.
Before we get back into the conversation, we want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. Grant and I were just talking about this off air. You have it's a hip problem?
I have a torn labral tear in my hip. And so before you guys called me for today, I was literally, this is not a joke, I was on my phone looking at Relief Factor after being here and hearing you and Glenn pitch it. I'm trying it.
And then our producer popped up as you're looking at it, trying to
say, hey, can you make it?
You gotta try it. You really have to try it. We got to get you a pack because it really truly works. It's done wonders for Glenn. I use it. It's done wonders for me as well. I've got some back problems from a car accident. Or, I mean, maybe you've reached the age, like, unfortunately, I won't speak for anyone else, but I have, where you just, like, you sleep and it somehow makes you in pain when you wake up.
Working out used to hurt.
Yeah.
Now
From the
sleeping
young
hurts.
Now it's sleeping. I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do to my neck? Am I really this old already?
And she's the youngest one at the table.
I know, right? I know.
Well, so I was like, I don't want to be offensive, so I'll just talk about me, not about you guys.
The unidentified nap injury is a thing.
Exactly.
It happens.
But seriously, if you're one of many Americans living in pain, you don't have to do that. Maybe you're trying prescription drugs and you're dealing with bad side effects. It doesn't have to be that way. Relief Factor, it's 100% drug-free. It targets the inflammation in your body. Try the 3-week Quick Start Pack. See if it works for you. 70% of the people who try that Quick Start Pack go on to keep ordering more. It's working for that many people. It can work for you. It's worth a shot. It's $19.95. You can go to relieffactor.com or you can call 800-500-8384. That is relieffactor.com. Let's talk guns. I'm at the table with a bunch of testosterone, so let's talk guns. First, I want to to discuss our good friend Robert Francis, good friend of the show, Robert Francis. Shout out, Robert. He was, people are pushing back on his statements from the last debate. Hell yeah, we're going to take your AK-47s, we're going to take your ARs. He's getting in a little bit of hot water for that, so much so that even Chris Cuomo was pushing back on his statements, making him go on the record. Are you really for gun confiscation, Beto? This is what he had to say. Watch.
Are you, in fact, in favor of gun confiscation?
Yes, when it comes to AR-15s and AK-47s, weapons designed for use on a military battlefield. And I don't want you or anyone else to get into the fear-mongering that some have fallen prey to, saying that the government's going to come and take all of your guns. What we are talking about exclusively is weapons of war that have no place in our homes,
I hear you.
no
You're
place
taking
on
them
our
out.
streets, and should remain on the battlefield.
I hear you. We'll talk law first and then politics. It's not about fear-mongering. You just said it, Beto. You said you're going to confiscate guns.
If you're on the left and you've lost Chris Cuomo, you're toast.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
They haven't lost Chris Cuomo.
You don't think Beto has, he made it very clear. He pushed back. He said,
there's a reason he's doing this.
You just said you're in favor of confiscation. What's
There's
the
a reason Chris Cuomo is doing this. Chris Cuomo cannot stand the fact that he's scaring conservatives into running out and buying more AR-15s and AK-47s. So what Chris Cuomo is doing is running a block for saying, hey, everybody out there, you're not going to have to run and buy more firearms. He can't really take your guns away from you. He is not sticking up for gun owners in any way, shape, or form. He's trying to make it look like confiscation's not going to be an issue, and you conservatives don't have to worry about little Beto and his claims.
Yeah, his problem with Beto is not what he said; it's that he said it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I don't think Cuomo has all these constitutional concerns about gun confiscation. I think he thinks Mr. O'Rourke violated the first rule of Fight Club. Like, hey,
Interesting.
we don't talk about this. Yeah, everybody on our side knows that's what we're going to do, but we don't say that.
Exactly.
Because if you do that, you're going to rile up the Second Amendment guys. They're going to actually show up and vote.
And you definitely don't make T-shirts right after you said it that basically has the direct quote of what you said, that we're going to come take your gun. Nothing burns me up more than these anti-gun people that don't actually talk about what that means. For instance, universal background checks. Sounds great. We want background checks. We already have background checks. Universal sounds even better. What does that mean? What if I want to give my kid, the family rifle? Does that mean I have to take him down and pass a background? It's ludicrous. It's stupid. But they don't ever talk about these things, the ramifications. AR-15s and AK-47s. What exactly does that mean? Because what he said, by his standards, his standard is, I'm going to take the ones that were designed for the battlefield. Yeah. Okay, so just based off of what he said, that automatically knocks out the AR-15 because the Armalite rifle model number 15 was actually built for the civilian use. It wasn't until later that the military purchased those plans and started using them as well. So it was designed for civilian use. So just off of what he said, I can keep my AR-15, it's perfectly safe. They don't ever discuss these things, so what you really mean is, well, he's just pandering to people that are scared and trying to make them more scared. But what he really means is semi-automatic rifles where you have a magazine that goes to the bottom of it. That's really what he means, which is a ton of weapons.
And that's another frustrating thing is that the left, I think because none of them actually use guns, they have no idea what they're talking about, and they use these terms like weapons of war. I'm like, people in the military, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys use all the guns. It's not, you don't just use, specific, I mean, I'm sure when you're in battle, you use, more high caliber weapons, you use
a full range.
Right.
It goes all the way down to the smallest.
That's what you still are going to use a pistol, right? Weapons of war, if you're being technical, would still include pistols.
Yeah, I mean, they include a knife on your hip, too. I mean, typically the military uses firearms that are capable of going to fully automatic. And AR-15s, for all intents and purposes, automatic firearms in the United States have been outlawed a long time ago.
Unconstitutionally so.
They blur that line on purpose. They want you to think that they're talking about automatic weapons when what they're really talking about are semi-automatic weapons that look scary. I'll grant it, an AR-15 might look scary.
Right. That's where the term assault weapon comes in.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, it's an assault rifle. Well, what's an assault rifle?
You know how many people actually think AR and AR-15 means
assault rifle?
They'll argue the heck out of that.
Yep.
People are so ignorant.
He said in his, I don't know if we're going to run the rest of the clip, but he talks about these guns are unusual and they're dangerous. Well, there's upwards of 10 to 15 million AR-15s in America. That is not unusual. And the reason he's saying unusual is because of the Heller decision, which Chris Cuomo tried to get into, that says firearms in common use are legal in America. Now, if you have 15 million of them in America and it's the most popular rifle in the hands of Americans, I think that's pretty common.
I also love these particular guns are dangerous. Like, I mean,
aren't they all?
Aren't they all supposed? That's kind of the point. They're supposed to be dangerous. I'm pretty sure that's the intent.
They love to talk about the velocity of the bullet coming out. You do not want to get hit from a Glock 9mm just as well. You do not want to get hit from a 2.56 round from an AR-15.
Do you think that Do you think that they're successful right now, the left, in kind of shaping this narrative of weapons of war? These are too dangerous. We need to get them off the streets. Oh, well, it's just the AKs and the ARs, even though they have no idea what they're talking about. Jason, do you think that they're successful in changing the messaging?
Absolutely, I think they are, and it's scary.
Yeah.
It's the reason that we really have only one organization, the Second Amendment supporters do, to try to actually educate people on this. Only one. And they pretty much they straight up call them a terrorist organization. The NRA, that's it. The NRA is not some evil group, that's operating independently on their own. I personally pay money to them to advocate for me. They're not doing it out there on their own for some weird, crazy agenda. Yeah. But no, I absolutely do think that's the case. I think when they come up with, it's so ridiculous, some of the facts and figures they'll throw out there. I'm like, where the heck did they get that? Like 22 school shootings this year.
Right.
They're trying to pony off that number to make it look like a larger issue.
Yeah.
If you actually look through the 22 shootings that are on their list, some of it's gang violence as a guy walked by a parking lot that was adjacent to a school. Some of them were other random things that were across the street from universities. Yeah. All those get thrown in there. Some of them are accidental discharges, but they throw that all in there to make it look like an absolute emergency, and they are winning on that.
And I want to get both of your thoughts on that, but let's go ahead. We're going to go to break, and then once we get into overtime, I'd like to play the new Sandy Hook Promise ad that just came out. Yeah, and I want to get your thoughts on it. We'll be right back.
Sorry, James, I filibustered that last 10 minutes.
It's a good filibuster.
Before we go into overtime, I'm obviously going to use this opportunity to self-promote. So if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's called Sara Gonzalez Unfiltered. I've had a couple people asking me, you need to do more videos more frequently. We're tired of only hearing from you once a week. So I'm trying, you guys, I'm trying. There's only so much that I can do. But I've got a couple videos that just dropped this week. So if you have not checked them out, you got to go to Sara Gonzalez Unfiltered, hit that little subscribe button and watch the latest. Coming up in overtime, as I said before, we've got the Sandy Hook Promise ad. If you guys have kids in the room, I mean, it's not gruesome, but it's a little grim for my taste, so you might just want to remove them and then bring them back after. Up to you, you're the parent, not me. Whatever the case, we're going to be there, BlazeTV.com. Join us.
Was this the filter?